What if your empathy wasn't some divine gift, but a survival strategy you had to learn? A sophisticated radar system you developed in childhood just to get through the day in an unpredictable emotional world? And what if the real way to protect this deep sensitivity wasn't to build higher walls, but to rediscover 3 lost rules from the master of the human psyche, Carl Jung? For decades, we've been told that to guard our energy, we have to shut down, feel less, and be less open. But Carl Jung's work offers a totally different path. While he never used the modern word empath, his entire life was dedicated to understanding the sensitive soul and how it navigates a world full of shadows. He saw that certain people have thin boundaries, which makes them incredibly aware of others' emotional states, but also dangerously open to being swamped by them. Jung didn't just write a simple how-to list for empaths. His work is much deeper than that. But when we take his core ideas, individuation, shadow work, and archetypes, and apply them to the struggles empaths face today, a powerful framework for protection appears. We can boil his complex wisdom down to 3 foundational rules. These aren't rules for fighting, they're rules for being. They don't teach you how to fend off psychological predators. They change your inner structure so that you become an unwelcoming target. You become, in essence, predator-proof. This isn't about being less empathetic. It's about becoming perfectly empathetic, conscious, discerning, and whole. So, if you've ever felt drained, used, or confused by the very sensitivity that defines you, stay with me. We're about to tap into the forgotten wisdom that can build an unbreakable shield against manipulation and control. Before we get to the rules, let's face a difficult truth about the reality of being an empath. Why do you, the person who feels everything, so often attract those who seem to feel nothing at all? Why does your light seem to attract so much darkness? From a Jungian perspective, we can see certain patterns or archetypes that play out in our lives. In the ecosystem of the psyche, there are what many now call psychological predators. While Jung didn't use that exact term, he wrote extensively about personality structures that feed on the life force of others. He understood this wasn't always a conscious, evil act. Often, it was an unconscious, instinctual process, much like a predator hunting its prey. Let's look at the patterns. First, there's the archetype we could call the emotional vampire. This is the person who lives in a constant state of crisis. Their life is a storm of drama, and they've unconsciously figured out that your empathic nature works like a lightning rod. They create chaos they refuse to deal with, and you, with your open heart, absorb and ground that chaotic energy for them. They get temporary relief, while you're left feeling drained, anxious, and emotionally polluted. Then you have the promise-based manipulator. This archetype is a master of potential. They show up as a project, a wounded soul just about to have a breakthrough. And you, with your deep desire to heal, get drawn to that potential. They keep the promise of who they could be hanging in front of you, keeping you hooked on a future that never actually comes. You pour your energy, time, and hope into a mirage, getting addicted to the possibility of their transformation, not the reality of who they are. Here's the crucial part from a Jungian view. The empath isn't a passive victim here. It's a perfect, magnetic lock. The predator is drawn to the empath's light, and the empath is unconsciously drawn to the predator's darkness. This is often rooted in what's known as the wounded healer archetype, because you learn to connect love with service and validation with being needed. You developed a compulsive drive to heal others that can completely override your own self-preservation. You walk into a room and scan, not for who is safe, but for who is most broken, because that's where you feel most alive and purposeful. This unconscious savior complex is the exact signal that predators are evolutionarily programmed to find. It's a tragic, repeating cycle, but it's a cycle you can break. and it starts with the first lost rule. The first and most fundamental rule from Jung's work is this: stop owning their shadow. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow is one of his most important ideas. The shadow holds all the parts of ourselves we've repressed or denied: our anger, our selfishness, our fears, our insecurities. It's everything we don't want to admit we are, so we hide it away in our unconscious. Here's the key: people who haven't done the work to face their own shadow can't stand the weight of it. So they do something both brilliant and destructive. They project it onto someone else. And you, the empath, are the perfect screen for that projection. Think about it. Has a deeply dishonest person ever accused you of being a liar? Has a profoundly insecure person ever called you arrogant? Has someone with a volcanic temper ever accused you of being the angry one? This is projection. They aren't seeing you. They are seeing their own reflection in the mirror of your empathy, and they're making you carry their emotional baggage. A psychic predator has mastered this art. They can't own their feelings of worthlessness, so they subtly manipulate you until you feel worthless. They can't face their own inner emptiness, so they provoke and drain you until you're the one who feels empty. Their brain literally rewrites reality to make you the villain, because facing their own darkness is just too terrifying. Your job as an empath is to feel, but you've been tricked into thinking your job is to feel for them. You absorb their projected shame, guilt, and rage, and because you feel it so intensely in your own body, you start to believe it's yours. This is how you get drained. You are willingly taking on their psychic debt. Applying Rule 1 means developing what Jung called discernment. When that wave of shame, guilt, or inadequacy hits you around a certain person, you have to learn to pause and ask a radical question. Is this mine? You have to become a psychological detective. Look for the pattern. Do you only feel foolish around this one person? Do you only feel deeply insecure after talking to them? If the feeling is situational and tied to a specific person, it's very likely you're not feeling your own emotion. You're carrying their projected shadow. To stop owning their shadow, you don't have to confront them. You don't need to argue or explain yourself. That's a total waste of your precious energy. All you need to do is, internally, refuse delivery. You see the package of shame they're trying to hand you, you recognize it's theirs, and you simply let it fall to the ground. You witness their darkness without absorbing it. You acknowledge their pain without making it your job to fix it. This one internal shift is the first step in building your energetic shield and reclaiming your own psychic space. This brings us straight to the second lost rule, and it might be the hardest one for an empath to accept. Disarm your inner savior. This rule asks you to look deeper, past other people's behavior, and into your own hidden motivations. Jung's work shows us that we're never just victims. We're active participants in our own lives, often driven by unconscious forces. For many empaths, the most powerful and destructive force is the compulsive need to rescue others. You learned early on that your value comes from fixing, soothing, and being the calm in someone else's storm. When you healed someone's pain, you felt worthy. When you were indispensable, you felt safe. This isn't a character flaw. Again, it's a smart survival strategy you developed in the past. But right now, that inner savior is like a loud dinner bell for psychic predators. A manipulator doesn't just see your kindness, they see your compulsion. They see that your need to heal is stronger than your need to protect yourself, and they exploit it perfectly. They give you a problem that only you can solve, a wound that only your love can heal. They become a never-ending fixer-upper project that gives your life a sense of purpose while slowly draining you dry. The hard truth is, many empaths are addicted to being needed. It's a powerful drug because it feels like a virtue. But in Jungian terms, this is a participation mystique, an unconscious merging where the boundary between you and the other person disappears. You're no longer helping them. You've fused with their dysfunction. Disarming your inner savior means making a conscious and often painful choice to let people fail. It means letting them sit with the consequences of their own actions. It means realizing that enabling someone isn't the same as loving them. When a predator creates a crisis meant to trigger your guilt, a sudden illness, a financial disaster, a breakdown only you can fix, you have to learn to see it for the strategic move that it is. It's a test. And your new answer has to be a compassionate but firm no. This doesn't mean you become cold or uncaring. It means your care becomes selective. You save your energy for people who are actually trying to save themselves. You learn the difference between someone who has fallen in a hole and is asking for a ladder, and someone who has decided to live in the hole and is demanding you jump in there with them. To practice this, you have to get comfortable with other people's discomfort. You have to be willing to be seen as the bad guy by someone who is committed to their own drama. You must find your worth not in how useful you are to others, but in your own being. It's a huge spiritual shift from "I am worthy because I help" to "I am worthy, period." When you make that shift, the whole dynamic changes. The predator, who counts on your need to fix, finds themselves totally powerless. They have no more moves to make because you've refused to even play their game. We're about to get into the third and most powerful rule, the one that truly completes this psychological armor. But if what I'm saying is hitting home, if you're feeling that flash of recognition, please take a second to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're building a community here dedicated to this kind of deep, transformative work, and share your experiences in the comments. Have you ever realized you were carrying someone else's shadow? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Now we come to the final and most transformative rule. Integrate your own shadow. Everything so far has been about defense, seeing projection, setting boundaries. This rule is about offense. It's about building a core of psychological wholeness, so dense and real that manipulation just can't stick to it. Jung's ultimate goal wasn't to fight the darkness, but to achieve individuation, the process of becoming a whole, complete person. And that's impossible without integrating your shadow. As an empath, you've probably built your identity around being good. You're kind, compassionate, patient, and giving. But what about the parts of you that don't fit that shiny image? Where's your anger, your ambition, your capacity for righteous selfishness, your power to say no, not just with your mouth, but with your entire being? For most empaths, these parts are locked away in the shadow. You were taught that anger is ugly, that putting yourself first is selfish, that boundaries are mean, so you repressed these vital parts of yourself. But energy can't be destroyed, and repressed energy doesn't just vanish, it festers. Or worse, it leaves a void. Predators are masters at sensing these voids. They sense you have no access to your own healthy anger, so they know they can cross your boundaries without consequence. They sense you've suppressed your own ambition, so they know they can use your energy to fuel theirs. Your unintegrated shadow is the psychological back door you keep leaving unlocked. Integrating your shadow isn't about becoming a bad person. It's about becoming a whole person. It means reclaiming the parts of you that you were taught to be ashamed of. It means finding the wisdom in your anger. It shows you exactly where your boundaries have been crossed. It means finding the strength in your selfishness. It helps you protect your energy, so you have more to give when you consciously choose to. This integration is often kick-started by a major betrayal, a moment so painful it shatters the good person mask you've worked so hard to maintain. It's that awful realization that you saw all the red flags, your intuition was screaming, but you silenced it because it wasn't nice. In that moment of breaking, the door to the shadow flies open, and for the first time, you might just invite it in. When an empath integrates their shadow, a powerful change happens. You don't become less empathetic, you become selectively and powerfully empathetic. You still feel everything, but you're no longer a passive sponge. You are now a conscious container. You can feel someone's pain deeply, while at the same time recognizing it's not yours to fix. Practically, shadow integration means being radically honest with yourself. You start to own your capacity for everything. Yes, I have the capacity for rage. Yes, I can be selfish. Yes, I have the ability to cut someone out of my life completely if they are a threat to my peace. Acknowledging this doesn't mean you act on it destructively. It means the power is now in your hands, not hidden in your unconscious. You have a full toolkit, not just the nice tools. The effect is almost magical. Manipulators and psychic predators, who are experts at sensing weakness and emptiness, will intuitively pull back from an integrated empath. It's as if they can smell the iron in your soul. Your very presence reflects their own dysfunction back at them with uncomfortable clarity, and they can't run their usual games. They move on, looking for easier targets. They avoid you like a vampire avoids the sun, not because you're aggressive, but because your wholeness offers them nothing to feed on. So, let's bring it all together. Jung's 3 lost rules for predator-proofing your empathy. First, stop owning their shadow. See projection for what it is. Witness their darkness, but refuse to carry it for them. Just let it drop. Second, disarm your inner savior. Acknowledge your compulsive need to fix broken people and consciously redirect that healing energy toward yourself. Let others be responsible for their own journey. And third, integrate your own shadow. Embrace and reclaim the powerful, so-called darker parts of your own psyche. Your anger, your ambition, your fierce self-protection. Become so whole that there are no cracks left for manipulators to exploit. These 3 rules, drawn from Carl Jung's deep understanding of the human spirit, aren't a quick fix. They are a lifelong practice of what he called individuation. It's a journey from being a passive victim of your sensitivity to becoming a conscious wielder of your incredible gift. Your empathy is not a curse. It was never meant to be a tool for your own destruction. It is a powerful instrument of perception. When you guide it with boundaries, discernment, and wholeness, it becomes your greatest strength. The goal isn't to feel less, it's to feel everything and to remain yourself, to become so grounded in your own truth, so complete in your own being, that your light no longer just attracts predators, it repels them. And in doing that, you finally become free,